Tarkir Dragonstorm and the Commander ban list update are causing huge waves in the secondary market. So again this week we have a massive two-part episode of the Magic the Gathering Market Watch. This video is sponsored by Flipside Gaming. Check out flipsidegaming.com for all your gaming needs. Right now you can order Tarkir Dragonstorm, pre-order Magic the Gathering Final Fantasy, or find a vast number of other great items on their website. Remember, shipping is free in the US if your order is over $100 or consists only of singles. Just look in the description or comment section below for direct links to their site. Hey there, this is John from Heroes and Legends. Welcome to another edition of the Magic the Gathering Market Watch. Like I said in the cold open, Tarkir Dragonstorm and the Commander unbannings are making huge ripples in the secondary market. So again this week, the Market Watch will be in two parts. This time we'll be looking at a total of 15 cold cards and 32 hot cards. In this episode, we'll see numbers 15 through 8 on the cold list and numbers 32 through 17 on the hot list. But don't worry, tomorrow we'll be back with part 2 where we'll reveal the top cold cards as well as the top 16 hot cards to wrap things up. As always, our lists are based on two pieces of criteria: the percentage change in the value of the cards as well as the change in the number of sales from week to week. We'll quickly look at the cold cards and then spend more time on the cards that are moving up in price. Before we get started though, just one quick thing. I want to say thank you to one of our Hero and Legend tier channel members. That is Joseph Capitani. Joseph, thank you so much for all your support as a channel member. The generous super thanks tips you give in as well. It all goes a really long way. I do appreciate your support. Quite honestly, this channel would have been gone a long time ago if it wasn't for the folks on Patreon and the channel members. So thank you again, Joseph. And now without any further ado, let's get into it. We'll begin with part 1 of this week's cold cards. Like I said, these will be numbers 15 through 8. Most of our cold cards this week were recently moving up in value, but as you know, it's not unusual to see some retraction after a card spikes aggressively. Many times a spike will inspire sellers to put more copies up for sale, and that extra inventory satisfies some of the demand. There are also a few Tarkir Dragonstorm cards moving down as product is open, but not as many as you might think. It's a hot product, and Magic is generally heating up again, so many of the new cards are actually moving up this week, believe it or not. Anyway, let's get started with number 15, Rampant Rejuvenator. It's a card that was number 26 on our hot list last week. It's down 253 this week to 578. That's a 30% decrease. This is from the Kamigawa Neon Dynasty Upgrades Unleashed Commander deck. Number 14 is Vault-Born Tyrant, down 255 to 2718. That's a 9% decrease. Number 13, Amzu Swarm's Hunger, down 263 to 2137. That's an 11% decrease. Number 12 is 3 Tree City, down 263 to 2503. That's a 10% decrease. Down 5 spots this week to number 11, it is a card from Tarkir Dragonstorm, Mox Jasper, down 314 to 2112. That's a 13% decrease. A week ago, this was number 4 on the cold list. Last week it came in at number 15. This week it bounces back up 5 spots to number 10, Ketramos The New Dawn, down $3.50 to $20.22. That's a 15% decrease. Number 9, Reaver Titan, down $3.64 to $25.30. That's a 13% decrease. This is from the Warhammer 40k Forces of the Imperium Commander deck. And coming in at number 8 is Parallax Tide, down $4 to $33.98. That's an 11% decrease. Now for the main event, the hottest cards of the week. In this part, we're going to be looking at the hot cards numbered 32 through 17, starting with number 32, Will of the Abzan, up 201 to 739. That's a 37% increase. This is from the Tarkir Dragonstorm Abzan Armor Commander deck, and it's already seeing a good amount of play in Commander decks both old and new. Of course, it's in builds around a couple of cards from its precon, the front-facing Commander Felithar the Steadfast, as well as Beator Ancestor's Voice, but it's in other builds too, like Winter Cynical Opportunist, for example. You're also seeing Will of the Abzan appearing in Commander deck lists around Beator Kinda'al and Felithar Dawn of the Abzan from Tarkir Dragonstorm's main set. Sure, lots of copies of Will of the Abzan are getting into circulation since it's coming from a new product, but the demand is strong enough currently to push its price up. Number 31, War Leader's Call. This is up $2.02 to $11.37. That's a 22% increase. One of the reasons this is jumping is due to its role in a standard Boros token deck that has had some attention early on in this new meta. It runs 2 or 3 copies of this and 4 copies of a new card from Tarkir Dragonstorm, Frontline Rush. The other format pushing War Leader's Call is Commander. Prior to Tarkir Dragonstorm, it was appearing in several decks there, like Edgar Markov and Balin the Haymaker, for example, but now it is seeing a lot more play thanks to the new cards. Some players wanted to upgrade the Mardu Surge and Jeskai Striker Commander decks, while others want to use it in fresh builds around Mardu Surge's front-facing Commander, Zergo Stormrender, and Elsha Threefold Master from Jeskai Striker. Additionally, War Leader's Call is seeing play in Commander decks around a couple of cards from Tarkir Dragonstorm's main set, Zergo Thunder's Decree, and Neriv, Heart of the Storm. Coming in at number 30 is River Pyre Verge, up $2.03 to $8.40. That's a 32% increase. The standard format is a big reason why this card is jumping. There's 4 copies of it in the mana base of Jeskai Aggro, which is performing very well in the new meta thanks to a card from Tarkir Dragonstorm, that's Kori Steelcutter. Jeskai Control is also doing pretty good currently, and there are 3 or 4 copies of River Pyre Verge in that deck. The build runs a bunch of cards from Tarkir Dragonstorm, like Dispelling Exile, Orang River Regent, Jeskai Revelation, Rediscover the Way, and Shiko Paragon of the Way. Additionally, River Pyre is in other standard decks too, like Is It Tempo, Is It Prowess, Teamer Aggro, and 4-color Control. Over in Pioneer, this is found in Indomitable Creativity builds, as well as Is It Drake. It's even a one-of in Modern Teamer Control. Meanwhile, in 1v1 Duel Commander, you find this card in several builds, including the very popular Aragorn King of Gondor decks, and builds around Satya Aetherflux Genius. It's even getting some additional play there now in decks around the aforementioned Shiko Paragon of the Way. Plus, River Pyre Verge is all over regular Commander where it appears in Shiko decks as well. It recently saw a boost in play there in decks around Captain Howler's Sea Scourge, but River Pyre Verge is in lots of new builds around Tarkir Dragonstorm cards aside from Shiko. Some players are using it to upgrade the mana base for Jeskai Striker and Teamer Roar, while others are putting in fresh builds around Elsha Threefold Master from Jeskai Striker, as well as the front-facing commander from Teamer Roar, Eshki Teamer's Roar. And other players are putting in builds around Ureni of the Unwritten from there too. Down 13 spots this week to number 29, Lost Monarch of Ifnir, up 211 to 910. That's a 30% increase. This is from the Aetherdrift Eternal Might Commander deck. It has been in several Commander builds, like Wilhelm the Rock Cleaver and Ghoulcaller Gisa, for example. Lost Monarch of Ifnir also sees play in fresh builds around a couple new cards from its precon, the front-facing commander Temet Naktaman's Will and Hashatan Scarab's Fist. But you guessed it, Tarkir Dragonstorm is the catalyst for the spike. Many players have been grabbing Lost Monarch of Ifnir in order to upgrade the Saltire Risen Commander deck, while others are putting it in new builds around Taval the Balanced Scale from there. The two cards complement each other very well. Down 3 spots this week to number 28, 6. It's up 211 to 1251 for a 20% increase. This card is seeing play in a few formats, including Modern, Commander, and 1v1 Duel Commander. First off, the Modern format has been shaken up with the recent banning of Underworld Breach, and you typically do find a copy or 2 of 6 in the sideboard of the popular Amulet Titan decks there. In Duel Commander, this is in several builds, including the Gitrog monster as well as Slimefoot and Squee, for example. Meanwhile, in regular Commander, 6 is played quite a bit. You see it used as a commander, and it's in builds around Winter Cynical Opportunist and the Necrobloom, for example. As you can imagine though, Tarkir Dragonstorm is causing 6 to see even more play in the format. Many players have been getting it to upgrade Saltire Risen, while others are putting it in new builds around Taval the Balanced Scale from there. And to a lesser degree, some are putting 6 in decks around Taval Arbiter of Truth from the main set. Coming in at number 27, Hull Breacher from Commander Legends. It's up 214 to 814, that's a 36% increase. First off, in Legacy, this appears in Hull Day Echo Stompy, Esper Vial, and Bank Control. In Vintage, it's in Besiege Storm, Jewel Shops, Merfolk, 4-color midrange, and sometimes Scam. Hull Breacher is also a solid card in 1v1 Duel Commander, where it's found in several decks, including the popular Aragorn King of Gondor builds. It has even seen more play there recently in decks around newer cards like Loot the Pathfinder, Vinwick's Verbose Host, and Shiko Paragon of the Way. However, the main reason Hull Breacher is creeping up now has nothing to do with the play it's currently seeing. This week, Gavin Verhey announced changes in the Commander ban list. Hull Breacher was not removed from the ban list, but the article went on to discuss the possibility of certain cards becoming unbanned in the future. Gavin said that there could be a theoretical change in the bracket system that could lead to Hull Breacher becoming unbanned for higher power level decks in the future, but he wouldn't expect that to happen, and it certainly won't happen the way the brackets are set up now. Even with that damning commentary, some decided to spec on the card, and the price moves up this week. Alright, quickly before we get to our next 10 cards, just a fast reminder, this video is sponsored by Flipside Gaming. Check out flipsidegaming.com for all your gaming needs. Right now, you can order Tarkir Dragonstorm products, you can pre-order Magic the Gathering Final Fantasy products, or pick up any number of other great items on their website, Magic related or otherwise. Remember, if your order's over $100 or consists only of singles, shipping will be free in the United States. And if you're looking for a direct link to their site, just check out the description or the comment section below. I do have links posted in both of those places. And now, without any further ado, let's continue with the countdown. Coming in at number 26 is Stubborn Denial, up 216 to 630. That's a 52% increase. This card is appearing in the Modern Domain Zoo deck, which is performing well in the new modern meta that came about after the banning of Underworld Breach. It's also in 1v1 dual commander builds around the Dragon. Meanwhile, in regular commander, Stubborn Denial is getting a ton of play in several decks old and new. It's in the Dragon there as well, and a lot of players are getting it to upgrade the Tarkir Dragonstorm Temur Roar commander deck. Others are putting it in fresh builds around Eshki Temur's Roar and Ureni of the Unwritten from there. Plus, I'm seeing it in decks around Ureni the Song Unending from the main set as well. Put it all together, and Stubborn Denial is a very hot card right now. This was number 10 on the cold list last week. This week it arrives on the hot list at number 25. Taval, the Balanced Scale, of 216 to 1066. That's a 25% increase. This is the foil copy from the Tarkir Dragonstorm Sultai Arisen commander deck. Right out of the gate, Taval has been a very popular commander in both regular and 1v1 commander. In regular commander, it's also appearing in the 99 of several builds old and new. A couple of the more popular ones are around Kotis Sibsig Champion from its precon, and Taval Arbiter of Virtue from the main set. Number 24, Smuggler's Surprise, up $224 to $8. That's a 39% increase. This is in the 1v1 dual commander Glarb Calamity's Augur decks, but regular commander is the key driver for the spike. Smuggler's Surprise was seeing a good amount of play in the format in decks like Miram Sentinel Worm, for example, but now it's seeing a lot more play thanks to Tarkir Dragonstorm. Many players are getting this to upgrade the Temur Roar, Sultai Arisen, and Abzan Armor commander decks. Others are putting in fresh builds around Ureni of the Unwritten and Eshki Temur's Roar from Temur Roar, as well as Taval the Balanced Scale from Sultai Arisen, and Beator Ancestor's Voice from Abzan Armor. Additionally, I've seen Smuggler's Surprise and commander decks around Taval Arbiter of Truth from the main set. Number 23, Golos Tireless Pilgrim, up $235 to $5. That's an 89% increase. This is in Vintage Sphere shops, and it's used as a commander in 1v1 dual commander. But it is banned in regular commander, which is why it's moving up this week. Golos was not taken off the ban list this week with the commander update. However, Gavin Verhey said that perhaps this is an acceptable card in higher commander brackets. It was just something they did not want to unban today. This has led to some speculation that perhaps next year Golos could be unbanned. Time will tell, but the spec has made the card price jump. Number 22 is Sylvan Primordial, up $238 to $550. That's a 76% increase. This really doesn't see any play to speak of, but it is another card that is banned in Commander. We now know that Sylvan Primordial is staying on the ban list, but Gavin Verhey did say that he could see this one becoming unbanned in the future as they adapt and evolve brackets. That's all it took for speculation to take hold and for the card to spike. Number 21, Shiko, Paragon of the Way, up $268 to $692. That's a 63% increase. This new card is getting played in a few formats. Right out of the gate, it started seeing standard play in the popular Jeskai Control deck. It's a 4 of there, and in the 4-color Control variant as well. I also mentioned earlier that this was being used as a commander in both 1v1 duel and regular commander. Plus, it's in the 99 of several builds in dual commander. It's been appearing in Aragorn, King of Gondor, and Satya Aetherflux Genius builds. In regular commander, it's been used in decks around Tiamat, the Dragon, and Narset Jeskai Waymaster from Tarkir Dragonstorm. Many players are also getting Shiko Paragon of the Way to upgrade the Jeskai Striker deck, while others are putting in fresh builds around the front-facing commander from there, Shiko and Narset Unified. Number 20 is Dueling Grounds. It goes up $282 to $1451. That's a 24% increase. This one-print wonder dried up online this week. It could be a speculative buyout, or it could just be that inventory was especially low this week. Dueling Grounds does see a tad bit of commander play at times, but not really all that much. Down one spot this week to number 19, Shield Sphere. It goes up 283 to 1694. That's a 20% increase. This one-print wonder has seen a little commander play in the past. It can show up in decks around cards like Arcades the Strategist and Arkham Daxon, for example. You even see it at times in Plagon Lord of the Beach 1v1 dual commander builds. But it's Tarkir Dragonstorm that's making this already scarce card jump. Turns out this is a good upgrade to the Abzan Armor commander deck, while others are putting in fresh builds around the front-facing commander from there. Felithar the Steadfast. Additionally, to a lesser degree, Shield Spear is showing up in commander decks around Beator Kinda'al from the main set. Number 18 is Will of the Mardu, up 316 to 839. That's a 60% increase. This is from the Mardu Surge commander deck, and it's seeing a good amount of commander play in decks both old and new. The majority of the time it's in builds around the front-facing commander from its pre-con, Zurgo Stormrender, but it's also in decks around Nurav Crackling Vanguard from there. You also see Will of the Mardu in builds around Balin the Haymaker and Zurgo Thunder's Decree, as well as Nirav Heart of the Storm from Tarkir Dragonstorm's main set. This was number 1 on the cold list last week, but this week it arrives on the hot list at number 17, Goldust Triad, up 340 to 1590. That's a 27% increase. This is also from the Tarkir Dragonstorm Mardu Surge commander deck. Like Will of the Mardu, you do see this card in commander builds around Zurgo Stormrender and to a lesser degree Nurav Crackling Vanguard from its pre-con. But Goldust Triad is in several other decks too, both old and new. For example, it's in builds around Nurav Heart of the Storm from the main set, but it's also in Deadpool trading card decks as well. Goldust Triad is working very well in those builds because most of the time they want to create a lot of Deadpool tokens. Then they use cards like the Master Multiplied to keep them from being sacrificed or exiled. That means if the deck is doing what you want it to do, your Myriad tokens get to stay in play. Alright, that's going to do it for part 1 of this week's Market Watch. You don't want to miss part 2. There's a lot going on. We're going to be back tomorrow with all the details. Until then though, hey, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please give us a like and subscribe, and have a great day. Hey, thanks for watching. This video is made possible through the generous support of viewers like you on Patreon. Check out the description below for links to our Patreon page as well as our Amazon affiliate store, where a small percentage of all sales will also help support the channel. Finally, if you haven't had a chance yet to subscribe, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of the new videos on Heroes and Legends. Talk to you again soon, and have a great day.